4.85 The 4.85 is an experimental intermediate firearm cartridge made by the United Kingdom for the Individual Weapon Project, which became the SEIT series of small arms. Design: the 4.85 cartridge is based on the 5.56 NATO, but uses a 5 bullet and has a longer neck than the 5.56 does. Muzzle velocity is better than the 193 5.56 loading, which this cartridge was designed to compete against. The 4.85 cartridge weighs 11.62 grams, 179.3 gr. History: during the 1960s, the United Kingdom experimented with creating a lightweight but effective replacement for the 7.62 NATO round. Their original experiments focused on a 280 British 1950 intermediate cartridge round neck down to 6.3 mm. However, in the 1960s, a West German study proposed that an ideal cartridge would have a 5 mm or smaller caliber. The results of this study encouraged the United Kingdom switch to using a 5 mm caliber bullet for their experimental cartridge. The requirement for a 5 mm round for what would be the SEIT sealed the idea that a 5 mm round needed to be made. The 4.85 started off as the 544 round, which was made in 1970. The bullet shape used in these early prototypes was based on one used by the 6.23 43 round, another experimental British round. The actual cases were made from reformed 5.56 NATO rounds. However, it was soon decided that the round would be renamed the 4.85 44 in order to match the diameter of the test gun barrel's lands. The actual diameter of the round did not change. Continued tests showed that there were problems with bullet seating. To fix this, the round's neck was elongated 5 mm to create a 4.85 49 round. However, before the production lines were fully retooled for the new round, our staff and field required a batch of ammo for testing. Existing 4.85 44 rounds had their necks manually stretched out 5 mm in order to qualify for the test. Tests with both the 4.85 49 round and the L64/65 continued throughout the 1970s. In 1976, the L64/L65 weapon system was officially announced. In 1977, trials to find a new cartridge and weapon for NATO standardization were underway. The United Kingdom submitted the IW weapon a 4.85 49. Lots of both the X-Lone Eon ball and XL2 Eon tracer round were created in order to provide enough ammunition for the tests. The UK hoped that the United States and NATO would see the inherent advantages the 4.85 49 round had over the 5.56 45 NATO round and adopt it. The 4.85's lifespan came to an end when the ending results of the NATO tests concluded that the Effenhurstel S-109 bullet for the 5.56 had the best performance. In 1979, British testers formally scrapped the 4.85 round in favor of the 5.56 round. The IW system was subsequently rechambered to 5.56 No other countries have used the 4.85 round. Variants: several variants of the 4.85 round were made over its lifetime. Ball. The most common type of 4.85 round is the X-Lone Eon ball, which was used in NATO trials. This round has a 55.3 grain bullet that has a muzzle velocity of 3,115 ft/s and a muzzle energy of 1210 ft/lbf. Tracer. Several tracer types were made for the 4.85, but the most common one is the XL2 Eon, which was used in NATO trials. It has an orange-tipped head. Up to 10 other variants were produced, but never made it into full production. Short range. A 4.85 mm variant designed for short range used the same case that the standard round used, but fired a round and white plastic bullet. Dummy. Several dummies were produced for the 4.85 mm during its lifetime. Early dummies were simply a blank 4.85 sportiform round with a 5 mm longer neck, but later models include a round with 3 holes drilled in its base and a chrome-plated case that has several vertical flutes on it. A special plastic training dummy version of the 4.85 mm was also made. It consisted of a sawed-off 4.85 mm cartridge with a blue plastic head on it. When the gun is fired, the plastic head flies off. Blanks. Early blanks were made out of, but later ones used a standard-shaped cartridge with a row-scrimp blank shape where the head would be. The row-scrimp blank was also used for blanks used to fire rifle grenades. Armor piercing. Armor-piercing rounds were developed for both the 4.85 sportiform and 4.85 49 mm rounds, but never went into large-scale production, like the ball and tracer variants had. The AP rounds have a black band just under the bullet tip. Gallery.